Hello, children. It's Grandma Carla, and I'm here in the church nursery, and I'm going to read Joseph, Man of Dreams to you. Would you like to hear it, Everly? You want to hear it, Finn? Would you like to? Joseph, Man of Dreams. Joseph was a boy who lived in a land called Canaan. His father was named Jacob. And even though Jacob had 11 other sons, he loved Joseph the best. One day, he gave Joseph a beautiful coat with many colors. And Joseph's brothers were jealous of him. They were angry that Jacob loved him more than them. Jacob had never given any of them a beautiful coat. Here are the pictures. See the beautiful coat of many colors that they gave Joseph, that Jacob gave to Joseph? They are his jealous brothers. They were not happy at all. One day, Joseph and his brothers were in the desert. They saw a caravan of merchants coming, and Joseph's brothers talked together. "We will sell Joseph to the merchants and take his coat away from him," they said one of them. That is what they did. Here's the picture of the merchants and them selling Joseph to the merchants. Poor Joseph. His brothers did not love him very much, did they? After the merchants had taken Joseph, his brothers dipped his beautiful coat in the blood of an animal. They all went home and told Jacob that Joseph had been killed by a wild beast. Now the brothers would never have to see Joseph again. The merchants brought Joseph to the land of Egypt. There they sold him as a slave. A slave is a person who must work without pay for his master. He cannot leave because he is owned by his master. And here is poor Jacob, so sad because he thinks that his precious Joseph is dead. And here you see Joseph being sold. Joseph is in the white clothes, and the men are selling. One man is selling him to another man who will own Joseph as a slave. Joseph was bought by a man named Potiphar. Potiphar was a rich and important man. He was a general in the army of the king of Egypt, and Joseph worked as a servant in Potiphar's big house. And Joseph was a bright young man and did his work well. Everyone liked him. Everyone except for Potiphar's wife. She did not like Joseph. She told lies about him, and he was sent to prison. There's a picture of Joseph doing good work in Potiphar's house. And here's a picture of Potiphar's wife telling lies about Joseph and getting him sent off to prison. Joseph might have stayed in prison until he died, but Joseph had a wonderful talent. He could tell people what their dreams meant. And where did he get this talent? Who told him what the dreams meant? It's God, isn't it? God told him what the dreams meant. In those days, people believed that you could tell what would happen in the future if you could understand dreams. The other persons would come to Joseph and tell them their dreams, and he would tell them what their dreams meant. He was always right. He became famous for explaining people's dreams. Even the Pharaoh, the great king of Egypt, had heard of Joseph. So Joseph got his gift from God about telling people what their dreams meant. So here's Joseph sitting in prison, but Joseph became famous because he was able to tell what dreams meant. One night, the Pharaoh himself had a dream. The next day, he sent for his wise men. He told them his dream and asked them what it meant. None of them could explain it. The Pharaoh grew angry. "What good are you to me if you cannot do this simple thing?" he shouted. "I will send for that young man who is in prison. If he can tell me what my dreams mean, I will set him free." And so Joseph was brought before the Pharaoh. Here is Pharaoh being angry at his men who could not tell the meaning of the dream. And here was Joseph being brought before Pharaoh to tell him the meaning of his dream. You're going to clean the nursery? You're going to get it all clean? "I was standing near the river Nile," the Pharaoh said. "I saw 7 fat cows eating grass by the riverbank. Along came 7 thin cows. They ate the 7 fat cows, but did not get fat themselves. What does this mean, Joseph?" Joseph thought for a moment, and then he spoke. The 7 fat cows mean that Egypt will have good harvest for 7 years. The 7 thin cows mean that 7 bad harvests will follow the good ones. Your people will starve unless you save food for the 7 bad years. So here is Joseph before the Pharaoh. And then here is Joseph telling the interpretation to Pharaoh. The interpretation of the dream that God gave to Joseph. The Pharaoh looked at Joseph. After a while he spoke. "I believe that what you have said is true. You are a free man, Joseph. Since you are also a wise man, you will be in charge of the food in my land. You will store enough food in the good years to prepare for the 7 bad years." Joseph became a very important man in Egypt. Everything that he told the Pharaoh came true. In the good years, there was more food than the people could eat. He stored the extra food. Then the bad years came. There was no food. People were starving. Joseph began to give out the food that he had stored. There was enough to feed the Egyptian people. Even men from other lands came to get food. And Joseph is set free by Pharaoh and made one of his chief men, second only to him in power. Oh, we've got y'all cleaning the nursery. One day, some men came from Canaan. They bowed before Joseph. They were Joseph's own brothers. "Our family is starving. Please let us buy food," said Reuben, the oldest. Reuben and his brothers did not recognize Joseph. It had been many years since they had sold him to the merchants in the desert. Joseph recognized his brothers, though. "Don't you know me? I am your brother Joseph," he said. His brothers begged his forgiveness. They felt ashamed for what they had done. Joseph hugged them all and forgave them. And he knew that God wants us to love and forgive those who do us wrong. Now, in the Bible story, not the shortened story, this is a little shortened. They made 2 trips before Joseph told them that he was their brother. All these appear in the pages of the story. Can you find them? And these are pictures of Joseph, Potiphar's wife, Jacob, Pharaoh, Potiphar, and Reuben. Do you see all the pictures in the story? And then it says, now, tell the Bible story on your own. and you can have fun doing that. And this is Grandma Carla, and I love you.